But I also got to see the funny side of the farm work. And one of the stories that I heard, and this was completely ridiculous and it don't make any sense at all. This was a chap from a village next door, Hinderkai. And in Hinderkai there's a very steep hill, narrow, called How Hill. And that's got trees growing on either side, and the roots of the trees are pushing the road up, so it's very bumpy. And this is the story he told me how it got like that. He said there was two men down on Hinderkai down on the fen, and that is where the Ouse and the Waveney both meet, down on Redgrave Fen, and they go through Hinderkai. And they decided that if they were to build a boat, they could go one way to Great Yarmouth and the other way through Thetford, and they could bring a lot of money back to the village. So they called a village meeting, and that was decided that they would build a boat. The trouble was that nobody knew exactly how you built a boat, but someone said that they'd read a book on it, and what you had to do is dig a hole first beside the river, and you build the boat in the hole, then you dig a channel into the river and float it in. So when that was asked who was prepared to dig the hole, nobody wanted the job. Everybody went very quiet. So one chap at the back of the hole said, I saw a bloke down Bumpstead yesterday, and he had got ready dug post holes, and he bought them from a bloke from Walshamley Willows, and he's starting up a business there. Only a young fellow, he got a trades boy, and his name was Clark. He said, if I could get enough post holes ready dug off him, we could stick them all together and make one big hole. So that was decided that they would contact this chap Clark and see whether he could buy them a ready-made hole. So they got the measurements, and that was about 15 foot by 8 or something like that, quite a big hole. And that was reported back about a fortnight later that this chap Clark could buy a ready dug hole. So how do they get the hole home after he get it to Walsham? And there was a chap in the village with a steam wagon, and that was the biggest thing in the village, so they decided to send this chap with a steam wagon to Clark's of Walsham to get the hole home. Well, when he got there, that was a fraction bigger than his steam wagon all the way around. So him and Mr. Clark laid 4x2 pieces across the buck and across the chassis, so that the hole, tips upside down, would lodge on the ends. I told you this was ridiculous. So they did that, and they got some chaps out of the street to lift this hole on upside down. Now the people in Rinkenhall had heard about this, that there was got to be a steam wagon come through the street with a hole on, because that was dangerous, because if the hole fell off, you couldn't pick it up no more. So that got into Rinkenhall Street quite happily, but the trouble is that it then got to go down How Hill, and the problem with this steam wagon was that the handbrake weren't any good. And he went from Rinkenhall to Hinderkai, turned the corner at the top of How Hill, and of course once that tilted, the hole slid off into the road, and he stopped the steam wagon, got off and looked down into this hole, and there was pieces of 4x2 lying about the road everywhere. And he thought, well, now what do? I can't even get past it to get home. And while he was doing that, the handbrake fell off on the wagon behind him, knocked him into the hole, and that went into the hole as well. And that fitted the hole exactly. So now there's just bumps on the road. So when the people in Hinderkai come and look for the hole in the steam wagon, all they found were pieces of 4x2 lying on the road. And this chap wanted me to believe this. And I've never heard anything. And I always said that if you could make any sense of that story, you need a doctor.